Ruth is the mayor. She has to do all this stuff.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the August 8th, 2022 City of DeKalb City Council meeting to order and take roll of those council members physically present. Morris?
Here.
Larson?
Here.
Smith?
Here.
Perkins?
Here.
McAdams?
Here.
Verbic?
Here.
Favor?
Here.
There are 7 council members physically present. Council members, Mayor Barnes has requested to appear remotely due to employment purposes. Can I get a motion to allow Mayor Barnes to appear remotely, please?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Larson and seconded by McAdams. Thank you. I will now call the roll for council members physically present to allow Mayor Barnes to appear remotely. Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Motion carried by a 7-0 roll call vote of those council members physically present. Mayor Barnes, you may proceed.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Recording Secretary Scott, and thank you all the other people for allowing me to attend remotely for employment purposes. Bear with me, just a couple things before we start. When I call a motion, if you could raise your hand as you make that motion so I can see physically who is actually making a motion in a second, that would be very helpful so I can have that for the record. And also, the reason I keep looking up is I have a large monitor in front of me that hopefully will help me see you all a little bit better. And at any time, if you think my audio is not clear, just holler at me, I'll stop and I'll restate whatever may need be. But with that, we can move on to agenda item B, the Pledge of Allegiance. Alderman Smith, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance today? Thank you so much, Alderman Smith. All right, let me get the video back. All right, now approval of the agenda. But before I take a motion to approve the agenda, I would like to move a few ordinances up to follow the public hearing. So the motion I'm looking for is to modify the agenda to bring the ordinances that are on first reading, which are 2022-036, 2022-037, and 2022-038, to move those up directly after the public hearing. Can I have a motion to modify the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
That was moved by Alderman Verbic and seconded by Alderman Favor. Roll call, please.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8-0.
All right, so the modification of the agenda has been passed, but now I need to take a motion on approving the agenda as modified, correct?
Correct.
All right, I would take a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Perkins. Roll call, please.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8-0.
All right, the agenda has been approved and modified. Now moving on to agenda item D, presentations. We have none. Agenda item E, public participation. I believe, Paul Baric, you want to speak during Project Wildcat, so I'll go ahead and move on to agenda item F, appointments. Number 1, appointment of Sven Hansen to the Citizens Environmental Commission for the completion of a 2-year term through December 31st, 2024. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
It was moved by Alderwoman Larson, seconded by Alderman Favor. Roll call, please.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8-0.
All right, that appointment has been approved. Moving on to agenda item G, approval of the minutes. Number 1, minutes submitted by the city clerk. We have none. And number 2, minutes submitted by the recording secretary, which is the minutes of the regular city council meeting of July 25th, 2022. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
It was moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderwoman Morris. Roll call, please.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, the minutes have been approved. Moving on to agenda item H, consent agenda. Number 1, accounts payable and payroll through August 8th, 2022 in the amount of $3,759,925.57. Number 2, investment and bank balance summary through June 2022. Number 3, year-to-date revenues and expenditures through June 2022. Number 4, FY 2022 Human Services Funding Second Quarter Report. Number 5, minutes of the Joint Review Board meeting of April 22nd, 2022. And number 6, Resolution 2022-066, authorizing the approval and release of certain executive session minutes and the destruction of certain verbatim recordings. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda, or approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
All right, discussion. I think City Manager, you wanted to say something here?
I just wanted to speak to the public hearing at the very top, if that's all right with you, Mr. Mayor?
Sure thing.
Okay.
All right, any discussion, questions, comments on that, council?
Mayor Barnes, do you need a roll
Yes.
call to approve the consent agenda?
Yep, I haven't moved on yet. It had a city manager's summary at the end of the consent agenda item, so I didn't know if Bill wanted to say anything, that's all.
No,
Sorry.
I did.
Yep. Okay, so any comments or questions, council, on the consent agenda? Hearing none, roll call, please.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, the consent agenda passes. Moving on to I, public hearings. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing, noting the time of 6:07 PM Central Time. And it's a public hearing regarding a proposed annexation and development agreement for approximately 160 acres of property that is generally located north of Gurler Road, south of I-88, east of Kriego Road, and west of Peace Road, JJK 343 LLC, Project Wildcat. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak to this item? And I can't see, so someone's going to have to help me out.
Mayor, if I may, typically I
City
don't
Manager.
speak at this point, but there are two people in the audience who wish to speak tonight to this point, Jerry Krasinski and Josh Udelhofen of Trammell Crow, and I want to just take a minute to say a few words about why we have this public hearing and their role in it. Both gentlemen would like to address you tonight and add some detail to the project which is described in your background under public hearing. I just wanted to say that without their collaboration, the attraction of the company to this community and the fact that we are discussing this on our agenda tonight would not have been possible. So I'm very proud and humbled to have them here among us tonight.
Heartedly agree. All right, gentlemen, assuming you're already at the podium, feel free to address the council.
Well, hello, Mayor. Great to see you, and of course, City Council members, thank you for allowing us to be here tonight. I'm here on behalf of the Chicago West Business Center. We've seen some tremendous growth there. And this evening also brings a milestone. And when I really look back at the growth here on the south side of I-88, believe it or not, it was in October of 2019 when we came before the council and requested site plan approval for the two buildings, the Ferrara buildings. And shortly thereafter, in April of 2020, we came before the council again and requested both annexation and site plan approval for, of course, we know, Meta and Facebook. And so this evening, we're here, and we're looking forward and requesting annexation to bring the next 160 acres into the city of Dekalb. So in addition, to introduce Project Wildcat. But the milestone that I would like to share with you is we've actually hit 1,000 acres plus in less than 3 years. And it's just been a great development. We've enjoyed working, of course, with staff and everybody here. So we're very excited to really look forward to the 1,000-acre plus development at Chicago West from an annexation standpoint. And Josh Udelhoffen, our joint venture partner for this project with Trammell Crow, may just want to get up and give a quick overview of the project itself. So great to see you all.
Hello, as Jerry mentioned, I'm Josh Udelhoffen with Trammell Crow Company, and I've learned when I'm in Dekalb, if I'm with Jerry, I'm in good company, as he carries a big hat around here. And I'd like to thank Mr. Nicholas, Mr. Olson, and Mr. Rose for all their help over the past several weeks. This has been a really incredible project to be involved with and a really incredible community to do business in. As Jerry can attest, this project started in earnest right around Memorial Day. And we're here today in hopes that we're going to actually be breaking ground in about 3 or 4 weeks. That represents about 1.25 million square feet of first phase warehouse space with some really cutting edge technology of what's referred to as an ASRS system, automated storage and retrieval system. That portion of the building will be about 130 foot high and really allow our client to streamline and consolidate several components of their operation. And we're hopeful that spills over very quickly into the potential phase 2 of the project, which will be up to another 1 million square feet on the west half of the 160 acres that you've seen. Very exciting, moving at breakneck speed, and really it could not have been possible for the city of DeKalb's forethought, the economic development that was already put in place through the enterprise zone for DeKalb County EDC, and all of the great staff members that we've had the opportunity to work with. So we're here tonight to thank everybody for their time, and to the extent there's any questions on any components of the proposal, we're here to answer those questions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. Executive Director Bork, I don't know if you would rather just speak at the public hearing right now?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Barnes, City Council, Bill Nicholas, and staff. I'm here tonight to convey in person the strong support of the DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation for the annexation, rezoning, and preliminary development plan for the 160 acres on Gurler and Peace Road by Chicago West Business Center and Trammell Crow Company. As noted at the Planning and Zoning Commission on August 1st, the proposed development conforms with the comprehensive plan and the planned development industrial zoning, and its Project Wildcat is most appropriate to add to the strong array of industrial tenants and occupants and businesses in the city of DeKalb and the DeKalb County. In addition, beyond the land use and zoning, the project conforms with the county's Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or CEDS plan, calling for cities and to work together with DCEDC to recruit targeted industries like logistics, warehousing, and transportation. In addition, DCEDC's Talent Pipeline and Business Retention Committee are working with Kishwaukee College, Northern Illinois University, the Illinois Manufacturing Excellence Center, and the Illinois Manufacturers Association to bring resources to bear to help companies like Project Wildcat, as well as other local companies, recruit the talent they need for operations. To further support new industrial operations, DCEDC has initiated the Opportunity Unbound branding and communication strategy to promote DeKalb County communities and resources to help attract talented workers and professionals to lead these companies and our communities. Project Wildcat will definitely expand the DeKalb County economy and increase and diversify the tax base and provide many new jobs. The DeKalb County Economic Development Corporation respectfully requests the DeKalb City Council to approve the annexation, zoning, and preliminary development plat for Project Wildcat this evening. And thank you for your support and consideration.
Thanks, Paul. Anyone else wanting to speak to this item? Hearing none. City Manager Nicholas, is there anything else you would like to add?
No, Mayor, I will address some more details as we get through the ordinances.
Okay, City Council, any discussion from you all? Okay, hearing none. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:14 PM Central Time. All right. Now moving on to the new agenda item J, ordinances. Bear with me. Number one, ordinance 2022-036, authorizing an annexation and development agreement with JJK 343 LLC, Project Wildcat. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman McAdams, seconded by Alderwoman Morris. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So as the title represents, an annexation and development agreement between parties generally lays out the reciprocal responsibilities and duties, and I'm just going to take a few minutes tonight to talk about the structure of this particular agreement. Mention has been made of the 160 acres that is to be annexed and referenced in this agreement. I want to tell you a little bit more about that 160 acres. There are 3 lots. Lot 1, which is the largest, 86.6 acres, will contain approximately, as your background shows, 1.25 million square feet, which will be dedicated to a distribution building. It'll be the focus of the first phase of the development. Lot 2 can support a second building to be constructed in several phases for a total of an additional just under 1 million square feet, 936,000 square feet. And overall, these 2 buildings would feature distribution, packaging, and storage space, plus some accessory uses. Lot 3 comprises 2.1 acres, and that is at the southeast corner of the 160-acre parcel, and that would feature a ComEd substation. The legal notice for the public hearing and the Plan Commission consideration of this particular agreement has already occurred according to state statute. A couple of other things. Upon the council's approval, if the council, and we hope that the council will support this development tonight, the agreement provides that there will be an assignment of a PDI, planned development industrial zoning, to the entire property, entire 160 acres. So the property is within the Dekalb County Enterprise Zone, subject to the Interstate Commerce Market property tax abatement for large-scale industrial projects. The city, according to the agreement, would receive building and plan review fees. Some of the initial development fees for processing what we're doing here tonight have been waived, but all plan review, building inspection, and engineering fees, construction fees, and so forth would be paid. The city, for its part, agrees to support the phased development of the site, which is essential to the success of this particular venture. The parties also would agree on a third-party plan review service that would provide the plan review of the very sophisticated plans that will be proposed for this. The owner in this case would construct any required on-site roadways and improvements at no cost to the city. A railroad spur, provision will be made for a railroad spur that could be added to extended to the property across Kriego Road, which is a city roadway now. We've been moving at such a pace in the last couple of years that may have been lost, but Kriego Road is now a city roadway, and it's been much improved in the last 2 years. And at some point, there would have to be some crossing of that, and there are some details that have to be addressed at that time. In sum, this particular agreement obviously describes a very substantial contribution to our city's property tax base and employment opportunities, and we are very pleased that Chicago West and the Trammell Crow team have brought this to your attention tonight. Recommend your approval.
Any questions or comments, council? Alderman Favor.
Yeah, I'll just say, again, thank you for the investment in our community. I know that a lot of work has been done by DC, EDC, city staff, by Chicago West, looking for quality businesses to bring into our community. Just certainly thankful for the businesses you've brought and for what the future brings as well. Thank you.
Any other comments, council? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
Ordinance 2022-036 passes on first reading. I take a motion to waive second reading.
So moved.
Second.
I believe that was moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderman Favor. Any questions or comments?
Wait. Alderwoman
Wait.
Favor or Alderwoman Person?
Did I? Sorry. I thought it was Alderman Perkins and Alderman Favor.
There you go. Okay,
Yeah, okay.
okay.
Hearing no other questions or comments besides that one, thanks for correcting me if that's what I said. Roll call, please.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, second reading for ordinance 2022-036 has been waived. All right, moving on to number 2, ordinance 2022-037, approving the annexation of certain property to the city of Dekalb, Project Wildcat. Can I have a motion to bring it before the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Verbic. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Both this ordinance and the next ordinance concerning rezoning follow from the agreement, and you've actually already committed to the approval of them. But the annexation is obviously the step that's essential to the development of this parcel, and the agreement in section 2.1 details that obligation, and we recommend your hearty support.
Council, questions, comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
Ordinance 2022-037 passes on first reading. I would take a motion to waive second reading.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderwoman Larson, seconded by Alderman Favor. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, second reading has been waived by ordinance 2022, or of ordinance 2022-037. Moving on to number 3, ordinance 2022-038, approving the zoning petition of JJK 343 LLC to rezone certain property to PDI Planned Development Industrial and to approve a preliminary development plan and plat of subdivision for the development of approximately 1.25 million acres, or million square feet, Phase 1 building and 565,000 square foot Phase 2 building to accommodate a distribution, packaging, and storage company and accessory uses and a potential 435,000 square foot future building expansion, Project Wildcat. Can I have a motion to bring it before the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderwoman Morris, seconded by Alderman Verbic. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As I explained in the background, under Illinois statute, upon annexation, a property comes into the most restrictive zoning, which is SFR 1, single family 1. This would be a very big house. But that's not our intent. The intent, according to the annexation agreement, is to rezone this property to PDI, Planned Development Industrial. The ordinance before you accomplishes that. It also addresses what the DeKalb Planning and Zoning Commission addressed last week, and that is the preliminary development plan and the final plat of subdivision, which are part of the background for this particular item on your agenda for tonight. The Plan Commission also considered just several waivers for such a large development. It's unusually small number, but one was the height, which Josh had referenced before, for the particular stacking racking system, which is a structural system, and then also in the parking area, which has more parking spaces than are needed. Particularly as you get to the end of the aisles, it was thought to have the flexibility to go to 18-foot depths, same width, 24 feet of the driving aisle, but the depth of the particular parking stalls could be reduced from 19 to 18, and the Plan Commission had no problem with that. So what we recommend is, what we, the staff recommend, is what the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended, which is your approval of this particular ordinance.
You're muted, Mayor.
Sorry, council, any questions or comments? I see you laughing there, Alderman Smith.
Any less?
Hearing none, roll call, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
Ordinance 2022-038 passes on first reading. I take a motion to waive second reading for ordinance 2022-038.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Alderman Smith, seconded by Alderman Perkins. Comments, questions? Before we vote, I definitely just wanted to say, Jerry and Josh, working with your organizations has been a pleasure. And I just can't say enough on behalf of all of us in DeKalb. The impact that you all are making in our community is substantial. You're definitely fingerprint makers on the city of DeKalb, and I know you're proud of the buildings that have been built out there. I know that you're proud of the work that's been done, but you should definitely be proud of the impact you're having on over 40,000 people in our community. So I just wanted to make sure I personally thank you for it. I've enjoyed the partnership that we have had. I think it's the trifecta of economic development when you look at DCDC and the enterprise zone approval and all the work that Paul Burrick and the DCDC staff does. You look at your two organizations, and then with city council and especially city staff, as hard as they've worked over the years to help facilitate the economic development that's happened on your projects has just been absolutely phenomenal. I think we are the model of what that looks like out there, and I hope more communities around the state of Illinois mirror that model and also have the similar success, because we could sure use it across the entire state. So I just want to say thank you for all the hard work you have done, and I look forward to hopefully more projects to come. With that, roll call, please.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
Second reading for ordinance 2022-038 has been waived. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, moving on. Man, that was substantial. It's just awesome. Moving on to the new agenda item K, I believe it is, considerations. We have none. Moving on to L, resolutions. Number one, resolution 2022-067, authorizing an intergovernmental agreement between the city of DeKalb, DeKalb County, and the terraces at DeKalb LLC. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Favor, seconded by Alderman McAdams. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Boy, we hardly get a chance to take a breath and just smile a little bit. Thank you. We also have before us tonight another substantial agreement, something different. We're talking about redevelopment in the most essential meaning of that word. There's some substantial background here. I can tell you that one of the key members of the Terraces group, which is one part of this particular intergovernmental agreement and development agreement, Lindsay Rodriguez is here tonight to answer questions that you may have about their intentions here. But let me lay it out, and I won't repeat all the background, but for those people who are looking in tonight, it might be good just to talk about this at some length. So what we're talking about is a plan with reciprocal responsibilities and duties involving three parties, the County of Dekalb, the City of Dekalb, and the Terraces, which is an LLC. The principal is Amy Rubenstein, who has also been involved in other projects in our community of late. The target, the focus, is the complex known as suburban apartments and suburban estates. There are there are 500 and, I lost my place,
35?
530 apartment units and a solar garden. We have a visual, maybe Jeff, we could put that up right now. And Mayor, we're going to still hear you, but we're going to lose your picture for a minute.
I'm sure people will be pleased over that.
It's coming. It's coming in a minute there. Okay, there we are. So it's 80 acres. 4 20-acre parcels are the principal parcels here. At the southwest corner, there is a fairly large solar garden. At the northwest corner is suburban estates, southeast corner, suburban apartments, and northeast corner is a largely vacant parcel. All 80 acres are involved in this agreement. So what are the different responsibilities here? Carrying a lot of the weight is the developer, which is the Terraces, as I mentioned. Excuse me, I should say the Terraces at Dekalb is the full name of the owner and developer, or the prospective owner and developer. And it's their intent to acquire the property by October 1st of this year, but in no case later than March 1st of 2023. They would file an annexation petition with the City of Dekalb and would complete all needed property rehabilitation within 18 months of the date of issuance of permit from the city. The developer would exercise reasonable care with the safety of the tenants during the rehab processes they have in their work on Lincoln Tower and Hunter Ridgebrook and Trifrat. They would, if necessary, provide private security personnel, work with the city to make sure the security camera systems are installed where they may not be installed, and so forth. They would also allow regular and periodic security walkthroughs by law enforcement personnel, both of the Sheriff's Department and the City Police Department. They would file for an annexation within 60 days of the property acquisition or the closing on the property. Upon the closing, the county of DeKalb would deposit $862,500 in an escrow account with a local title company to be held for the payment of various water infrastructure improvements. And as we've had a little bit of discussion here, there's been discussion also in different county board committee meetings and generally in the public domain about the quality of the water at suburban estates and apartments. The city's water system is proximate to this 80-acre set of parcels and on several sides. And so the proposal here is for the county to help pay a city-managed extension of the city's water system. The water system would replace the well system that is currently serving these 530 apartment units on the site. The well system would eventually, the well would eventually be capped, and the appurtenances to it, there are some pressure vessels and things would be removed. There are some 15 yard hydrants currently within this complex. Nearly all, if not all of them, are leaking. We don't have a record of their testing on a regular basis. We believe at this point, without excavating all of them, that they'll all probably have to be replaced, as well as the valves that are associated with them. So what we're looking at is a two-phase set of improvements. The first phase is to bring the fresh water in, bring it into meter vaults and come in from a couple ways so that we can loop this and keep this a fresh system without any dead ends to it. And that is to be done hopefully by the end, if all goes well, by the end of this year. in next construction season, then finish the job. Phase 2 would involve the replacement of the yard hydrants and the valves and other work associated with a system that's outside the buildings. The city would not be going into the buildings, replacing whatever piping there is there. This is all outside, but it would not, the system would not deliver the fresh water under the good pressure that our city system has, unless we were sure that we could take care of these. And it could be that some of the piping's undersized too, so we have to deal with that. Brian Faber's here tonight and can answer any particular questions on the system improvements that we're looking at. During this period of time, the County Sheriff's Department, which right now is a primary responsibility for law enforcement on this area that is in unincorporated DeKalb County, would maintain that responsibility. Currently, the city police department provides backup on a fairly regular basis to the county sheriff's department. That system would continue. There are a couple trigger points. The sheriff would retain the responsibility at his department's sole cost and expense for 2 years from the date of the annexation of the property, or 3 years from the developer's closing, whichever came earlier. So 2 to 3 years. It just depends on the timing here. And as I said, we'll continue to support each other. So that's the gist. That's the core of this particular agreement. There are some other details. Those are the essential ones that I bring before you tonight. I should also tell you that your consideration is happening on a path that is is parallel with and will soon overlap a path that the county board is going to be taking. On Wednesday this week, the county board has a regular meeting, and County Administrator Brian Gregory will bring this same development agreement before the full board for approval. So not quite like two clocks striking at the same time, but very close as imaginable in terms of our regular meeting schedules. So we are strongly recommending your approval tonight. This is a agreement that grows out of a process of discussion that's been going on for several years, really, at the ground level between tenants and members of the county administration, and also tenants and the city administration. And of course, we did not, as a corporate body outside of this area, we didn't have the authority to compel any changes, any upgrades, or any of the rest of that, but we are sympathetic and have been for a long time, just as county administration has been, but there hasn't been the means at the county end to do the kind of property maintenance inspections and improvements. And now we have the benefit of a very strong investment interest by a third party, which is the key to the whole thing, to bring the resources together to make a difference for the residents in the buildings here. That's really the focus of all this. We extend our water system from time to time, but it's not for future benefit. It's for the needs of people who are living just on our doorstep right now. So I'll stop. We've recommended this to you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
And Jeff, if you don't mind, since I imagine there's going to be a few questions, if you could focus the camera on council the most, that would help me greatly. I would appreciate that. So council, what questions or comments do you have on this? Alderwoman Morris.
Okay, I have quite a few questions. First, I want to thank you for bringing this to us. This is an exciting option. I know for a long time, people who live in suburban apartments have been asking to be annexed to the city because of water problems. So I guess I also want to share that background with the council. There have been many requests to become part of the city from residents there over and over again. And I get calls often from residents there requesting my support, and I try to support them and help them, and then also while saying, well, you're not really part of the city. So it's interesting. So I appreciate you bringing this option to us. Okay. first question, and this is probably for Brian. What is the anticipated increase in water usage? And is our infrastructure and our pumping levels, are we good for that? And especially with everything, all that we're doing collectively, are we getting closer to needing another water tower?
I'll start, and Brian can come to the
Sure.
the podium. So a couple things for you to know and for listeners to know. So the 530 apartment units, assuming an average of 3 persons in each unit, which is kind of the EPA standard, there may be 2, there may be 4, but an average of about 3, and the full occupancy of all the units, which is probably not the case now, but is hoped to be over time. And an estimated 15 units of water billed each bi-monthly, there's detail here. If we put all that together, we would be pumping 7,950 units of water every bi-monthly, every 2 months. And what that comes to is 5,946,600 gallons. So there's a capacity of 12 million a day. So this is every 2 months. So we do have the pump capacity to do this. I should mention, and Lindsay, you're hearing this for the first time, that costs some money to produce that water, to pump it, to pull it from the ground, and process and so. For each bi-monthly cycle, there's a cost. It would be $32,436. Now that's full occupancy, 530 units times 3 people, okay? Or just under 200,000 annually. So the city has some revenue in terms of user fees that would come from this, obviously.
Okay. Does that cover it?
Like a water superintendent there?
I think that covers
Another
that question. You guys
Okay.
thought that
You have
out
another question,
fully,
another one?
which I know you would. Yes, I have a couple other questions. I don't know if this one is for Brian, though. How does the LLC plan to cope with scenarios where properties turn out to be in worse than expected conditions? So I think we've heard the planned water process, like phase 1, phase 2, but is there a planned renovation process?
Lindsay, I assume you're going to want to come to the podium for this one? Yeah.
Hi, everyone. So suburban is a little bit odd right now just because of the negotiation we're currently under with them. So I don't want to speak too much on that, if that's possible, not just because we don't want to, just because we don't want to cause any issues. We've walked the building a couple times. This is not our first time seeing suburban. We plan on purchasing suburban in 2021, I believe it was. So this is our second time now walking the property in full. I will say it is more vacant, not as much damage as what we saw from last time. So we do know what we're getting into in terms of unit turns, in terms of common area, in terms of utilities, in terms of plumbing. I'm going to leave that up to you guys. But primarily it's just going to be 2 phases. We would like to keep all the tenants as possible, those who want to comply and stay. It's mainly unit turns for vacant units. They have around, I think, 200 units that are currently vacant. So it's turning all those units, which won't affect anybody because they're currently vacant per building, kind of, where there's like either 1 or 2 people in the building, if that. So it's that, and then common areas like laundry. We are looking at putting laundry per building because currently they have it in a very odd way. We think it makes more sense to have it per building if they have the space for it. And then occupied units, as they renew, we would hope to keep them and renew the tenant. We'll fix their unit for them. That's mainly the compromise we make with a renewal. You want new flooring, new paint, of course, we'll give you that during the renewal. If they choose not to renew, then we will turn the unit, and then we'll keep going from there.
Okay, so it sounds like you'll focus on buildings that are primarily vacant to start with. And so, I mean, if you find that you have units that are terrible, that sort of that level of vacancy gives you the opportunity to shift people into those spaces. Is that right?
Yeah, most of the time we like to keep the people where they are,
Right.
if possible. Obviously, the first phase before anything is when you put management in place, it's maintenance requests, right? So I know they have a stack of maintenance requests right now, just, I'm not going to speak on their management,
Right.
but they do have a lot of maintenance requests, so that'd be the first thing we'd do first. And then we'd get a third-party contractor in for the unit turns.
And do you have an expected timeline for when you feel like it'll be fully flipped, basically?
So like stabilization.
Yeah.
Suburban, I think, fully occupied, stabilized, everybody is at where they need to be, less than a year.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Alderwoman Larson.
I have a question for Brian. I think it's Brian, it might be partly Andy. In here, it says that the completion of Phase 1 is no later than 4 months from the developer closing on the property, which they want to do sometime between October 1st of this year and March 1st of next year. So technically, if they close November 15th, we have 4 months through the winter to get this water work done. Can that work be done in the winter? Difficult, but it can be done?
Yes, I believe it can be done. The first phase should be relatively easy, without saying it'll be easy. It should be relatively easy, which would be the installation of the water meters, the backflow devices, and, you know, essentially running a few sticks of pipe to tie into the existing system.
Okay.
And then the abandonment of the well. I would think we could get that done within a 4-month period. We have already started discussions with an engineer to design that, so soon all goes well, we should be able to accomplish that.
Any lead lines in Suburban?
No, there should be no
Okay.
lead lines. I think the property was built 65, I believe, that's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Should be fine.
Just want to briefly address your question to Alderwoman Larson, is that the agreement itself has some language that says subject to the weather and force majeure, that 4 months, because we knew
Okay.
that it could be around the winter time, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alderwoman Morris.
Sure. So I've got 2 more questions, maybe for the city manager. One is, do we know how many, if any, of these units include Section 8 housing?
I don't. No. Do you know, Lindsay?
Right now, they're currently around 5%, I believe.
And I'll just speak it into the microphone. It was about 5% was the answer. And last question. So, and I'm comparing the sale in my mind to the sale of University Village, which I wasn't present for, wasn't on council for, and I'm sure a few other people weren't. But I have reviewed those documents, and in that case with University Village, you guys or someone decided to have an escrow account to allow for the University Village Collaborative. And so I'm curious what compelled the city at that point in time to do that?
There were different terms there. The city did not, so the original complex of University, I'll keep it real simple, was built at a time when you, in a multifamily zoned area, could build almost an unlimited number of units. Subsequent to that, and before the sale and the second purchase, the rules changed. There were some people who thought that the federal money, HUD money, that would come in to subsidize the remodeling of the apartments was too much density and so forth. We're going to cut down on the density. The development interest was saying, we won't be interested then, and there weren't any others who would bid on it who would say they would be interested. So what could the city get if they couldn't settle on the density? What could happen? Well, then let's take better care of the people in the complex. And so part of the negotiation, and I wasn't here either, but I read the documents as well, was to come up with $500,000, which was to put in escrow, to be spent over about 10 years for the benefit of the tenants. And one thing that grew out of that was the University Village Collaborative, which involves a lot of local social service agencies, to provide those services, whether they're health care, daycare, helping with abuse, helping with a variety of things.
Right.
And that's been very successful. But we don't begin with those same issues that were in play then.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that background. It explains a lot.
Alderman Smith, did I see you? Yes, go ahead, Alderman Smith.
Thank you. A few questions, maybe some statements. The water issue, I think, Bill, if I'm correctly, Northern's population or student reduction also means less water being used. The North Water Tower was built for anticipation of that development. So I agree that, Brian, I appreciate your numbers, and I've known you all these years, that water supply is very predominant there. Question about the solar garden, does that strictly feed the complex? I got a nod from her, so I'll
Yes.
take that as yes,
Yes.
thank you. I guess I'll go, are you gonna bring okay, I'm gonna date myself. In 85, I patrolled that with the sheriff's office, so I know the crime issues that were prevalent then kept me and our other deputies very busy. I'm concerned about law enforcement, so I had a very long chat with the sheriff today. I feel very confident in them taking over for 2 years and his staff. So that put, me at ease quite a bit, knowing that the time the chief's going through with getting staffing, but ultimately, I have to say it's going to have to lead to an increase in our staffing for law enforcement, for the police side.
Well, it remains to be seen. So, for one thing, we do support the County Sheriff's Department, who's had that responsibility for many years, well, from the beginning. And the difference is, although we may be there even first, we're going to be there. And if it's a felony, a major felony offense, a weapons offense, and so forth, we're there.
Correct.
As the incident until the incident wraps up. We don't do the paperwork, or most of the paperwork.
Good
That's
thing.
the first arriving, yes. We would eventually be doing that in 2 years. But why are we arriving there so often now? This would not make any sense if we thought that was going to continue apace.
Correct.
It has to change. That's why we're proposing to invest in this, just as it was the case with the Hunter Ridgebrook agreement. So with better management, better services, better security in the buildings that have to be maintained. We have no hole right now
Correct.
on that. So I feel nothing's perfect, nothing lasts for all time. It's a constant workout, but I think we would start better. And so I would not at this point, and I am very mindful of this, and I'm the one who presents the budget to you every year, and after a lot of conversation with our department heads and the police department in this case, what is needed, I would not say that will require more officers. If it would, it was a failure of everything that we're presenting to you tonight.
I prefer not to be there, but I just had to mention that. The pool, is we going to bring that up to standards?
That wasn't in the deal, but.
Oh, I got some
Yeah.
questions. I've been around a long
You still
time,
have,
so
yeah. You still have the key to that? No.
probably do.
Yeah, there's two pools currently. One of them is shut down, completely
Right.
grounded. The other one is
fill it
still
up.
there. We do plan on making it work.
And the pond, is that,
Is the pond the one that's, oh, yes, the pond is still there.
okay.
They have like a little water fountain in it, I believe.
They do, okay. Really, yeah, all right. Question though about, Bill, the corner, that's not annexed into the corner, right?
No.
So that
It would be part of this 80 acres.
It would be, so the.
You're talking about the vacant land at the northeast corner?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that part of this, or it is
Yep.
part of this?
Yep.
So there is room, we are gaining some bare ground for.
Yes,
Or they are, I should say.
yeah, for hopefully some recreational use. yeah.
Okay, great. So that's all I have. Thank you very much. Ryan, thanks.
Alderman Verbeek?
Well,
Alderman Berg?
the terraces at Annie Glidden Road and Lincoln Highway in Ward 6 are going along well. So if that's any indication of what's possible at suburban estates and suburban apartments, it is welcomed, more than welcomed. And again, this has been, I don't know how many years, so please, everyone, don't think that this just all of a sudden sprang up at suburban apartments and suburban estates. It's long ongoing, and I think as a city, we can be more proactive with owners. We seem to have some owners that get in over their heads, and they fall behind with maintenance, and I'm sure, you've seen examples of this over and over again, and this is your opportunity. But as a city, what are the things that we can be more proactive with so that we don't get ourselves into this situation too often?
Alderman Verbeek, that's a question that you're posing to city manager?
All of us to think about, what can
Yeah,
we do
okay.
to be more proactive?
Yeah, agreed. And I agree. There is, sorry, city manager, but that is going to be, I think, a great discussion that we're going to have going forward. Alderman Smith and I met with the city manager, the chief of police, and crime-free housing, even talking about it from that perspective too. Just trying to find out what are our options going forward. And I know Alderman Verbeek, you brought up a couple of things that we need to be looking at. So that's a conversation that I do support and look forward to having and pursuing, over the months to come for sure.
Great.
City manager, did you have a comment?
I should have just mentioned earlier when I was running down the checklist of things that are involved here, it's all those not identified in the agreement specifically. There is an addition to our community's equalized assessed valuation with an annexation of this area, which would be about $5 million in new EAV. That in 2022, the 2021 tax is payable in 2022 this year. Total of $468,207. That is the aggregate that goes to parceled out. We get 10% of that, so it's about $47,000. Just so you know, some people have asked, and I thought I'd mention it.
Other question, Alderwoman Morris?
Sure, and I have a question that sort of fits closely with that. Does this instantly change our population census stuff?
That all helps too. And,
Okay.
Lindsay was talking about the vacancies. I think it's hard to get a true fix on that right now, but the count would be ours. So whatever develops there over time, it would be our population, and that helps us with state shared revenue on a per capita basis, of course. And that would more than offset whatever declared losses we have. We're still not exactly sure whether we lost in the census, but what was reported was lower than what we did have in 2010.
Other council members? Comments, questions? All right.
So to
Oh,
to
go ahead.
clarify real quick then, so we'd see an additional 50 grand in property taxes on, from this, give or take?
That's right.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions, council? Hearing none. Okay, roll call, please.
McAdams,
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
Thank you.
Resolution 2022-067 passes. Looking forward to the continued partnership, Lindsay. So, I think I hear a round of applause, so please, I'm hoping people are clapping over this one. I know, City Manager, you said I was moving really fast earlier, so
No.
I wish I was there to high-five you,
I know.
Lindsay. But I'm personally, I think this is just a great partnership that we've entered in. Most council members know I do meet monthly with Lindsay and Amy and the city manager just to review the progress of projects. And they have lived up to everything that they've said and the progress that they're making. While it's never fast enough for anyone, they are making substantial progress on the regular. So super excited to hopefully move into the next phase with this particular purchase. Do you have anything to say, City Manager, or did I
I was
interrupt you?
just going to say, no, I wasn't meaning to be critical of what we're trying to do here virtually in terms of speed. I was just
Oh, you're
at
fine.
the top of the meeting, when you go from, those ordinances and everything was associated with Wildcat and you go to this, you need to like take half a breath. And I think and this is a positive statement, that what this mayor and council have accomplished in the last year, I was thinking about it over the weekend as I was preparing for tonight, has been extraordinary. It's been breathtaking, actually. So thank you for your support.
All right, moving on to number 2, Resolution 2022-068, authorizing community development block grant FY 2022 year public services funding agreements from April 1st, 2022 through March 31st, 2023 in the amount of $60,000 with the Children's Learning Center, Elder Care Services, Hope Haven, Safe Passage, and the Voluntary Action Center. Can I have a motion to bring it to the floor?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Alderwoman Morris, seconded by Alderman Favor. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been using some hyperbole today, and I think I should use a little bit more in relation to what Joanne Rouse, our Community Services Coordinator, does every year. We have a one-stop shop for our CDBG program, and that's Joanne. And one of the things that she presents to us a number of times every year are different, say, 5-year plans, 1-year plans, and then there are components of each of these. This particular item refers to that portion of our annual allocation that went to what are considered public services funded agreements, which are detailed on page 6 of your background. And those 5 agencies that the mayor just read all receives some substantial grants for doing some things that I think, although they're in their quiver of services, probably allowed them to stretch, which they would not have been able to do without our grant money. And so what's shown here is what was requested by them, as you can see, a little bit more in all cases than what we had, and then the recommended grant amounts. We are still working through some other things for 2022, and Joanne is working overtime on that. But we just, in this particular resolution, are asking you to support the public services funding agreements that are proposed here.
Council, questions? Comments? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Verbeek,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Abstain.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
7-0.
Thank you.
Resolution 2022-068 passes. Moving on to number 3, Resolution 2022-069, authorizing a continued law enforcement embedded social worker agreement with Northwestern Medicine Ben Gordon Center for the service term of September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2023 in an amount not to exceed $94,133. Can I have a motion to bring it before the floor?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Alderman McAdams, seconded by Alderman Verbeek. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. In fiscal year 21, for us, that's calendar year 2021, we had 2 embedded social workers. In 20, we had, FY 2020, we had 1. We'd like to get to 3. We're just not there yet financially, but we're certainly there in terms of probably demand. This program has worked very well, and the roots of this go back to 2018 when we had a grant to see what we could do, and we happily received the support of Northwestern Hospital and a nice grant from the Community Mental Health Board, which carried us through 2020. And in 2021, we contributed to the second social worker embedded with our police department, and that's what's before you tonight. We're assuming more of the cost, so that grant support is winding down. But it's a really important program, and maybe the chief will like to speak to that as well. But when we started a couple years ago, we didn't know, well, maybe we'll ask our social workers to make do some referral work after the fact, the police will arrive. Then now although we're very careful not to bring the social workers into a very volatile situation on the scene, whether it's a domestic or whatever it is, that they're not trained or prepared to deal with. We are bringing them into the lives of many of those people who are getting ultimately involved in those things, or are trying to not get involved in those things. And they work very closely with all of our shifts. We have 3 shifts, as you know, so maybe someday we'll be able to have that third social worker, and we'll be talking about things like this toward the fall as we talk about our fiscal year budget proposals for 2023. So we recommend this contract. It's been very successful, and we hope you'll support it.
Council, questions, comments? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Favor?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Mayor Barnes?
Yes.
8 aye.
Resolution 2022-069 passes. For our next item, I have a conflict of interest, so I was going to hand the gavel virtually over to Alderman Favor, if you wouldn't mind running the next part of this. My conflict is I'm a part of the Dekalb Corn Classic, so I will recuse myself from the conversation and the vote. Alderman Favor, it's all yours.
Item number 4, Resolution 2022-070, authorizing an agreement with the Dekalb Corn Classic and Kishwaukee Sunrise Rotary Club for the 2022 Dekalb Corn Classic 5K, 10K, and the Taste of Dekalb events on September 25th, 2022. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Alderman Verbic, second by Alderman McAdams. Discussion. Any questions?
You want me to, I'll just quickly, I mean, we all know what a success
Yeah.
this is and how it's grown over the years, and it gets bigger all the time. And so kudos to those downtown businesses, a lot of private interests and leaders in our community, the service clubs that have partnered from the beginning, the goodwill, all the people along the routes in Northern Illinois University, which has become a really big part of the maybe the longer and the shorter races. So obviously I haven't run, sorry, but it's a terrific time, and the fact that the race and the focus after the race is right in the heart of the downtown only makes it that much better. So we urge your support.
Comments? Roll call?
Morris?
Abstain.
Larson?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Perkins?
Yes.
McAdams?
Yes.
Verbic?
Yes.
Favor?
Yes.
6 aye.
Motion passes.
Sorry, I probably should have mentioned at the beginning that I'm a member of DeKalb Sunrise Rotary, so abstain.
All right, thanks, Alderman Favor. All right, moving on to agenda item M, ordinances, second reading, we have none. And then moving on, with a couple pages, to agenda item N, reports and communications. Council, who would like to kick us off? Alderwoman Larson. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just a few quick things. I was lucky enough to be down at the police department today as they were swearing in 2 new officers who are going to go to the academy and be part of the Dekalb family, so that was very exciting, and lots of family members there. Walk downtown is coming along. This rain probably kind of maybe put them back a little bit, but it looks great already. And finally, being the council liaison with the environmental committee, I just noticed if you ever go out for a walk, grab a garbage bag with you, or a grocery bag, and just pick up stuff. It's just, our winds just blow things, even well placed in trash cans get blown around. So that's my 3 topics.
Alderwoman Morris.
No report.
Alderman Smith.
13th and 14th Street are progressing nicely. Really no hiccups over there. Great job with everybody involved. And I will be having a ward meeting. I will be announced, it'll be towards the end of the month. Right now, we're looking at, I won't release the date, I probably shouldn't. I'm getting that nod from the city manager, so I agree. But I will release it in the next week or so once the date is confirmed. That's it.
Alderman McAdams.
We had our Fifth Ward meeting on Wednesday, and it was very well attended, and I thought that it was a very positive event. There were lots of great discussions and lots of great suggestions and some new ideas that definitely bear some looking at. And other than that, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out and sending in their emails and asking their questions.
Alderman Favor.
So just kind of a public service announcement. It's been dry for the last several days, and then all of a sudden today, it's just a torrential downpour. What that does is, if you haven't noticed your storm drains out in front of your house potentially, those get plugged up with leaves or with other debris, potentially trash. If you have an opportunity, clean those out before it rains, otherwise we get some serious puddling and flooding. So that would be my PSA for the evening. And then I'll also echo the comments from Alderwoman Larson that the downtown is looking great. Everyone's doing a fantastic job. It looks very well, very good. Can't wait to get down there when it's finished.
Awesome. Alderman Verber.
No report.
Alderman Perkins.
No report.
For myself, just a few quick things. One, this last Saturday, I went out to the airport and met with some of the tenants out there, and just had some great conversations. Alderman Favor, as you're well aware, as being our liaison to the Airport Advisory Board, the passion, the commitment, the culture, the group that is out there, and I think that's probably everywhere amongst airports and airplane enthusiasts. It was just a wonderful time. They spent about an hour and a half just chatting with me on ideas they had. I gotta say to Andy Rye, they gave you a lot of kudos and the maintenance of the grounds and you and your team. But they were just a great group with wonderful ideas on how to move the airport forward. So I always love just having those kind of one-off meetings with people and just listening to the ideas that they have. I attended a ComEd EV charger ribbon cutting. So the EV charger we have in Van Buren Plaza, they actually did an official ribbon cutting there. And I just always have to express how pleased I am with the partnership that we have with ComEd. That was a grant funded by them, as well as the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. So it was just cool to be able to all of us get together and celebrate what I think is a great addition to our downtown. Because EV chargers, a lot of times it's people that just need to top off a little bit in order to continue on to their destination. And myself, as an electric vehicle owner, Alderwoman Morris, I know you as well, you end up stopping in communities sometimes that you might not have, just to be able to have access to an EV charger. So that was a great addition. And I also attended the HRC meeting as well as the planning and zoning. And it just constantly reminds me, we're all elected officials up here, but the amount of volunteers that we have across our commissions, committees, and boards, it's just phenomenal. So to see the amount of people within our community that step up and serve in order to do their part to make Dekalb a better place, it always warms my heart when I go to those and see that level of commitment. So I want to thank everyone that's part of our commission, boards, and committees. Thank you for your continued service and the betterment of the city of DeKalb. That's all I have. City Manager, do you have anything to report?
Just something real quick on the downtown. Talked to the general contractor and our city engineer this morning, and some work was possible this afternoon as the torrents stopped. And the brickwork was in full blast on the west end of the road diet. What's going to happen is by the end of the day tomorrow, or very near that point, the brick will be done on the north side of the road. It's supposed to be a clear day tomorrow. They're going to get an early start and maybe work late. Wednesday or Thursday, the milling starts. Then there's going to be a period of a day or so when manholes have to be adjusted. Well, there should be on Thursday possibly, or Friday at the latest, the initial binder course of asphalt laid, and then more adjustment, and then they bring in the final layer of asphalt next week, and the striping, and then after that, Corn Fest. It's just like that, nothing to it. We do
Easy.
have one thing you're gonna notice, at 9 spots, and it's more noticeable today because it's not draining as well as it's designed to do. I've been waiting on these castings from a place in Wisconsin, I'm not gonna name where, that's back, on which back orders are in play. And first there was a 13-week delay, and now they added another 3 weeks and then another 5 weeks. We're thinking about a Plan B, because what happens is we had to leave that sort of wild feathered, and so now some of the brick is with the rains and so forth is starting to slide away from the joints, and we've got barricades there. So if you're wondering, hey, what happened here? What's going on here? That's what that is. We'd love to have them done, and we're going to get them done one way or another soon.
Excellent. All right, moving on to agenda item O, executive session. I'd ask council for a motion for the approval to hold an executive session in order to discuss pending litigation as provided for in 5 ILCS 120/2C11. Can I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Moved by Alderman Perkins, seconded by Alderman Favor. Roll call, please.
Larson,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Perkins,
Yes.
McAdams.
Yes.
Verbic,
Yes.
Favor,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Mayor Barnes,
Yes.
8 aye.
All right, our regular meeting is now in recess.